Welcome back to the Screen Report. Every week we're forced to strap in and navigate this carnival of an industry. You think you know how Marvel makes movies. You expect green screens and mountains of CGI, right? Well, here's a piece of good news. The cast and crew of Thunderbolts were shocked by their own post-credit scene. But not because of a plot twist. They were stunned because the scene was filmed using practical, real-world sets and effects, almost entirely in camera. The production designer confirmed they used actual backdrops and a working monitor instead of just a blue screen. This quick old-school method was so successful that Marvel is now reportedly planning to use more practical environments for Avengers Doomsday. It turns out the biggest surprise in the MCU this week wasn't a superhero reveal, but the return of physical filmmaking. Now we're leaving that small practical win behind and flying straight into the Hebrews of tomorrow. You know who else has plans? James Cameron. That man doesn't just direct movies, he builds entire civilizations, and for 2 decades we've just accepted the divine prophecy that he will deliver Avatar 3, 4 and 5 no matter what. But the news is that even he is getting nervous. Speaking on a podcast, Cameron admitted that despite his history, he's worried about Fire and Ash, citing sequelitis and the shorter gap between films. The best part, he revealed he has a contingency plan. If Fire and Ash doesn't make the required money to justify the next 2 sequels, he is prepared to wrap up the Sully family story right there. And the one remaining plot thread, he'll answer it in a book. Yes, James Cameron, the man who only deals in $3 billion blockbusters, is ready to conclude his epic sci-fi saga with a quiet hardback. On a different note, sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys win. And by good guys, I mean people who still own a Blu-ray player. I love this. Guillermo del Toro's upcoming Frankenstein, being made for Netflix, the streaming service that exists to not give you physical media, is apparently getting a physical media release. Yes, that's a victory. It's the universe course correcting itself. Those wonderful watchers who demand ownership, the physical media community, are finally getting a win. It's Netflix having to admit that even they cannot contain the tangible beauty of a movie case on a shelf. Del Toro's dedication to craft is so potent, it's actively reversing the fundamental business models of Silicon Valley. That's a good news story, and I am here for it. Let's all go buy 2 copies just to stick it to the algorithm. But the good news is a fleeting high in this business. Almost immediately, the corporate content machine comes roaring back, demanding we mainline more IPs. Case in point, Stranger Things. I adore Stranger Things, but my capacity for Nancy Wheeler side stories is reaching its limit. News dropped about a new Stranger Things novel, one way or another, focused on Nancy's life leading up to the main events of the show. Look, I like Nancy, she's great, she's got a gun and good hair. But we've officially entered the stage of franchise milking, where we are getting the gritty backstory of a character's decision to buy a specific brand of toothpaste. We've moved from storytelling to excavating every single unused minute of IP and turning it into a mandatory reading assignment. It's not an expansion of the universe, it's the studio equivalent of checking the lint trap for change. It's the chaos of quantity over quality. And when you complain about franchise milking, sometimes the universe rewards you by showing that massive success can be earned with talent. One Piece is a certified gold nugget, proving live action anime can actually work, and the news out of production for season 3 is pure celebration. Not only has filming officially kicked off in Cape Town, a fantastic sign of Netflix's commitment, but they dropped an absolute bombshell casting update. We are getting Joe Manganiello as Mr. O, Zolo Mariduena as Portgas the Ace, and Cole Escola as Bon Clay, among others. They are loading this cast like a cannon. This means we are diving deep into the massive Alabasta saga. It's not a sweaty hustle, it's a confident, well-funded leap into an epic story, and it shows the genuine faith Netflix has in their big hit. That is how you use success to tell a bigger story. But for every show that leaps confidently into its next epic saga, there's another that's merely running in place. And speaking of massive content machines, let's address the one that simply refuses to die. We must talk about The Walking Dead. We finally got an end of an era announcement, but it's the most Walking Dead end of an era imaginable. Norman Reedus confirmed that filming for Daryl Dixon Season 4 has officially wrapped, confirming the end of that specific spin-off. Praise be! Daryl's long, confusing European vacation complete with blown-up boats is finally concluding. But here's the kicker. Even while confirming the end of Daryl Dixon, the producers immediately hint that Daryl and Carol will probably be back for a big future crossover because apparently, in this franchise, a journey can only end so that a new, more complicated one can immediately begin. It's less of a zombie apocalypse and more of an inescapable, multi-platform, multi-decade debt repayment plan. The only thing that truly survives the apocalypse is content demands. This endurance and fatigue make people look for derivative patterns everywhere, and we're looking at Quentin Tarantino. Now, Tarantino has just slammed The Hunger Games as a blatant ripoff of the Japanese film Battle Royale. Appearing on a podcast, Tarantino didn't pull any punches, saying he doesn't understand how author Suzanne Collins wasn't sued for everything she owns. He claims book critics were too stupid to recognize the similarities, but film critics knew instantly. The irony is so thick you could carve a statue out of it. This proves that in Hollywood, even the chaos of artistic derivation is subject to high-profile celebrity feuds. It's not just a critical debate anymore, it's a direct call-out from one giant of culture to another. And when that kind of critical noise gets too loud, sometimes a true artist has to put their foot down and demand control. Now for another flash of gold, Rian Johnson, the brilliant mind behind the Knives Out series, has reportedly made a stand. He will only continue to direct the sequels if he also continues to write them. Good. Excellent. That is what we need. This is a creative demanding that the integrity of the storytelling remains intact, instead of just handing over a successful franchise to a revolving door of studio-mandated writers who just want to hit all the required demographic bullet points. The script and the direction are two sides of the same bespoke, artisanal coin. Johnson is showing the rest of Hollywood that you don't have to let the chaos of the franchise machine dilute your vision. This is a win for all of us. Unfortunately, that message doesn't always get through. If Rian Johnson's move was a high watermark for integrity, then the news about the Apple TV show The Hunt is the low watermark for basic human decency. The show was reportedly pulled from the service after very serious allegations of plagiarism came to light. Not inspired by, not borrowed from, but straight up apparently copied. That is bottom feeding chaos. When you're making content for one of the biggest technology companies in the world and you still resort to swiping someone else's work, you have completely lost the thread. It's a spectacular failure of talent, ethics, and common sense. Hollywood is a nasty business, but creative theft is just pathetic. If it's true, shame on them. Right, let's end this on a note that perfectly sums up the emotional cost of this chaotic industry. Let's talk about Invincible. We know the animated show is a colossal hit, but you know Powerplex, voiced by none other than Aaron Paul, well, he's not coming back for season 4. Paul told the podcast that he is such a fan of the show, but playing the character, a delusional scientist racked with turmoil, was simply too grueling on his psyche. He put himself so deep into the skin of the character that he couldn't handle it anymore. Forget the endless paychecks and CGI spectacle. This is the turmoil of true, painful method acting where the job literally broke the actor's spirit. So that's the week. Hollywood is currently running on pure absurdity. Actors are stunned by real backdrops. James Cameron is ready to end his saga with a book, and the zombie apocalypse gives us finality that lasts 6 months. Yet, amid the plagiarism and the endless content depths, we found solid gold. Rian Johnson demanding integrity, One Piece kicking off an epic saga, and a streaming giant forced to make Blu-rays. It's baffling moments where one hand is stealing scripts and the other is handcrafting a beloved return. Thank you for watching, support the people who write their own scripts, and watch out for the zombies.